Hello, in this video we're going to take a look at how you can use the Track My Ad service to calculate your cost per call and your cost per result. So to begin with, let's take a look at the information that you put into the system to make it possible to do those calculations. First, let's go to the numbers screen and just do a quick review of that. As you'll recall, this shows a set of information for each one of your phone numbers. The phone number itself, the number that it forwards to, the whisper message, which is what you'll hear when you answer a call, the info, which is going to pop up on the screen when a call comes in, the voicemail box, and this is the cost information. For each ad, you'll put in the start date, the end date, and the cost of the ad. And our system will calculate a prorated amount based on the number of days the ad has been active compared with the time frame that you're reporting on in order to come up with an appropriate cost. So you'll have that information for all of your numbers. Now the other source of information is the calls screen. This is where you'll be when you're taking calls. When you have an active call, you can put in notes that indicate anything about that call that might be important for review later. And you have these buttons you can click: won, maybe, or lost. That's how we calculate the result value. Lost we're going to calculate as a value of 1, maybe is 2, and 1 is 3. We give a value non-zero to lost because you did get a phone call, some result occurred even though you lost the sale. If there was no answer, it went to voicemail, those calls will have a value of 0. Once you've taken a bunch of calls and you've put in this information for each one, you can then take a look at your stats. So let's go to the stats screen. And first I'm going to select just the month of May for this example. So I'm going to start with May 1st. My end date will be May 31st. And to begin with, let's just look at calls per ad. Now we have two phone numbers. One is on Long Island and one is on the Big Island. The Long Island one is area code 516. And as you see, we got 233 calls on that ad during this time period. And the Big Island is area code 808, and there were 76 calls for that ad during the same period. Now let's drill down a little deeper and see what our costs look like to compare these two ads. So this screen shows the same information again, the 233 calls for the Long Island, 76 calls for the Big Island. It also shows the calculated value for the result and the average number of minutes per call that was spent. Now here's a trick you can use if you want to isolate this information or clarify what you're looking at. Down here on the label, if you click on any one of these values, you'll see that it goes off and goes back on again as you're clicking on it. So it makes it easier to isolate just what you want to look at or make sure that you're looking at the thing you think you're looking at. So the result value here for this ad, the Long Island ad, shows a calculated value of 137.66. If every single call was a win, then this would match the number of calls. It would be 233. This gives you an idea of the relative value of the result compared with the number of calls that you got. And it's also shown to you here as a percentage. You got 59% of what the maximum would have been if every single one was a win. For this ad, the Big Island ad, you can see that the two graphs are a lot closer together, and this one is 75%. So although this ad got fewer calls, you got better results. You got a higher percentage of results on this ad. This ad, the Big Island ad, you spent 2.23 minutes on average for each call. For this one, 1.93 minutes on average for each call. So that might be significant, it might not. When you listen to the call recordings, you can get a whole lot more detail about exactly what happened during each call. You can see how these results are calculated in by hovering over each one of the bars. And this one shows you that this result was calculated based on not applicable for. In other words, there were 4 calls for which no result was posted. Lost 105, so there were 105 calls that it was recorded as a loss. There were 64 calls that were recorded as a maybe, and 60 that were recorded as a win. Okay, so now let's look at even more information: calls, results, and costs. This will give you an idea of how the information we just looked at calculates out to a cost per result and a cost per call. Here again you see the same number, 233 calls for the Long Island, 76 calls for the Big Island, and the results information are shown for the two ads. Here you can take a look at the cost per call, and I'm going to click on it down here so it jumps out at you. Cost per call for the Long Island ad was $19.31. Cost per call for the Big Island ad was $18.31. So even though the number of calls that you got was different between the two, the actual cost per call was almost the same. The cost per result is another important value that you want to look at. The cost per result is calculated based on the results that you got compared to the total possible, and then the prorated amount that it cost you for the ad for that time period. For the Long Island ad, you see your cost per result is $32.69. The cost per result on the Big Island ad is only $24.13. What this is telling you is that although you got substantially fewer calls for the Big Island ad, they were more valuable to you. They cost you less to get the results that you got on the Big Island ad. So looking at the full picture this way, both ads look like they're effective, and you also have some ideas of what you want to explore further in order to improve the results. So that's how you can quickly and easily use the Track My Ad system to calculate your cost per result and your cost per call. Thank you.